Sharon, and I am so thrilled that you came on. I feel like we're kindred spirits because of the work that you do and the art and the world of pop-up that you have put in your vintage magazine. So let's start with the germ of the idea, maybe it wasn't a germ, of vintage magazine and how you came up with these interactive, traveling museums, if you will, in your magazines. Where did it start?
It started several years ago. I went to a show at the Pratt Institute it was called Flair on Flair. And Flair Coles was the brain and the artist behind Flair magazine, which was out in 1950. There were 12 issues, you know, in and out in 1 year, but one issue a month of this incredible magazine. So I walked into this this room that was filled with these magnificent magazines. Their signature cover had a die cut, which is an opening that kind of revealed and gave you a little glimpse into what lay behind the covers.
From 1950 to 51.
From 1950 to 51. I was blown away by
because of the interactiveness.
The creativity of it. You know, the telling of a story took on such dimension. Illustrations, gorgeous photos, different textures. You know, Tallulah Bankhead writing on Louis Armstrong. This issue, which was the Paris issue, April in Paris, 1950, has this little pop-up here.
So what were you doing
on
at
every
the time
page. So
when you saw
when
this?
I was the publications director at Friends Seminary, which is a Quaker school with a history of its own in Manhattan. And when I saw this, I knew that I wanted to do something similar for today's audience. I thought that what they could do back in the day with the graphic design options available was astounding. The quality, magnificent, the detail in the drawings, the reproductions, the quality of the print, the surprise, the element of surprise. And in this day and age when people are talking about the demise of print, it was so heartening to see what print could do and be. And I decided right then and there, really, to create Vintage Magazine.
So you did this. Now this follows the crash of 2008,
yes,
when television and print and newspapers and everybody was coiling, you know, trying to figure out what to do next. And you decided, I'm going to do print.
I decided it was the best time to do it because all eyes were focused on print at that point. You know, not necessarily for good things, but they were focused on print. So why not show what you can do?
That took guts, Ivy.
Well,
but I think it was also smart.
I knew that I still liked looking. I knew that I could be so affected by the visual beauty of a magazine. You know, I did what you're not supposed to do. I judged the magazine by its cover, and it worked in this case. But I just, you know, I was blown away by the power that I responded to of this, and I decided if I like it, other people will like it too.
So you started with the first, let's look at the first vintage magazine. And this is, I saw this in a local bookstore in Madison, Connecticut, R.J. Julia Booksellers. And it was the cover that grabbed me, because right away I saw vintage. So you put this out, and I'm gonna, we're gonna turn this because I wanna see that this is all hand put together? Do you do this by machine?
Well, there's a degree of machine work and hand work in each issue. Part of the reason that we did an open spine is because I wanted people to see what goes into a magazine. These are, if you notice, there are different sections. Those are known as signatures. And when you put a magazine together, it has to be, the pages have to be in sections of 4, multiples of 4, and that comprises a signature. And then they are bound together. Usually a book or a magazine would have a cover over it, but I wanted the transparency and to really celebrate the beauty of and the craft of what goes into a magazine.
Let's go through this magazine a bit. So how did you get the premiere issue out, and how daunting was it to put this together?
It was not daunting. You put blinders on. I knew I wanted to do it, and you just do it. I didn't really
How did you find
care.
the people? How did you find
there
the
were
writers?
people that the printers that I had worked with previously, writers. I know many people. I know the family of Gary Giddens, who was a renowned jazz critic. He worked for the Village Voice. He has an award-winning book on Bing Crosby, and you know, I spoke to them about my desire to really bring history to the fore in beautiful new tactile ways. And I really see this as two things. I see it as a portable museum, and I see it as a community where artists and writers could come and really tell stories that they might not have opportunity to tell elsewhere, and have it showcased in a very unique way. And it also, it celebrates the art of putting it together, the art of printing, the art of writing, the art of quilt, you know. Each issue is a surprise to me. It comes together, I get a box of things, and I weave it together.
You're editor-in-chief, so you weave it together. Is it? And let's start going through this first one just a little bit. And I'm actually going to hold it like this, Ivy, just so people can see.
Okay.
So you convinced a whole bunch of people, though, to start writing for you. And it was easy, and you were a leader, and said, you will do this because we're going to get this.
Well, it wasn't really convincing. Another thing is, a lot of people are really into doing this, and it was an opportunity for a lot of people. You know, thus the appeal of the magazine, not just in the United States, but throughout the world. France, England. I have so many subscribers in England and abroad.
I want you to just show how interactive this is.
Okay, so this is Gary Giddens' piece on album covers, and what better way to present a piece on album covers than to create an album cover and to use, so you know, this was a whole thing, figuring out how to find these, and we discussed with the printer how to print on it, and we had labels made, and it just gives the whole feel of it, the experience of opening a 45 back in the day.
Well, I will tell you, there are 4 issues out so far. I have all 4 of them, thank you. But when I open this, I am so careful. And I want to, and you're also using different types of paper.
Yes.
Thicker, thinner, shiny.
Each piece is given a lot of consideration, and I really try to give it a treatment that's suitable. You know, Barbie got a shiny, a shiny pink look. You know, we did a hair piece, and we decided to, you know, let readers kind of try to make their
play
own
with it.
Playful things, and we had combined illustrations and you know, rollers, flattering, unflattering, photographs, photo shoots. So these are all. This was a photo shoot that we commissioned. And
after the first magazine came out, what were people saying? Were they wowed?
Wow was I got a lot of wows and multiple exclamation points. You know, and I think the loveliest thing really has been the response from people of all ages, students to people down in Palm Beach, to art schools in Israel, in the Tate Modern, buying it for their store. It's just been wonderful.
And they're not cheap. They're about $25 a magazine. But it is a museum, as you said. You can go back and look at this. Now, are you surprised? Look at this. How awesome is this? And this was an article on knives, Swiss Army knives.
Yeah, on tools. And so this just quickly was a wonderful project in and of itself. I worked with a paper engineer in Chicago, Sean Sheehy, who devised the template for that pop-up, and just so you know what goes into it. And this was die cut, meaning there was a process where a machine cut each shape, and it's all hand cut out by one person. We use printers and die cutters and binders in New Hampshire. It's all done up in New Hampshire. And then one person glued it in a particular place on the page so that it would fold exactly right. So it's $25, but it's quite a
I can't believe it's not more, actually.
So because I want it to be affordable for people so that they could, everyone could appreciate a magazine.
Let's jump to the last one, just because when this came in the mail to me, I was giddy because I thought, oh boy, this one is really hefty. There's a lot going on in this one. And it's fabulous. It's, things come out of pockets. There's a home that pops up. How is this evolving for you? How is it evolving?
Is the process evolving?
Yes.
Each issue, as I said, is a joyful, creative thing, and each issue starts to happen and goes in a million places and comes down. And for example, the next issue, I have ideas about things that I'd like to do. I'd like it to be perhaps a music dance issue and have a sensation of rhythm and movement and texture, and just see where you could go with it all.
Do you think this will be alive in 10 years? Do you think you'll still be producing this magazine in 10 years, and where is it going to go? Flair lasted only a year for various different reasons. You're now you've done 4 magazines. Do you foresee having one a month, or is that impossible?
I think it's, I'll say it's impossible. No, I don't think anything is impossible. It's what I want to do. I think a lot of time, working with people's schedules these days, so I really want to honor each person that participates in this process. So it really takes about 6 months. I see 2 issues a year. Mm-hmm. But I also am very excited by the concept of the tablet, what is possible on digital. I didn't put this out to say, oh, that's ridiculous, no one should read anything on a tablet. I think that there are dimensions and a tactile quality to tablets that I would like to explore. And I would like to give another dimension to this magazine, but in tablet form as well. I hope to be doing this in 10 years. I think that each issue is new. It takes on a different personality. New people, new artists want to be part of it. So I'm hoping to be there in 10 years.
If somebody has ideas, do you take ideas just from...
I do. I mean, that's part of the fun too. If someone comes with an idea that's intriguing, let's see where I can take this. So that's part of the fun for me. It's fun. There's not a moment of, boredom or despair. It's just a journey.
Do you ever sit back, though, and pat yourself on the back and say, I did it?
No. No. You worry and, I sort of,
Okay.
I'm pleased with this, but, I'm always thinking of different things and other ways to do it, so there's room for...
I just want to get the one magazine that we haven't looked at, and this was number 2,
yes.
Correct? Deuxième.
Yes.
And this is equally as wonderful with a sketchbook in here, and you have like a little bag, and you have...
Well, we popped Peggy out because back in the day they had just come out with Barbies for Mad Men, or the equivalent, little dolls, and they didn't do a Peggy, and I sort of felt that Peggy deserved a pop-up of her own, so we did that piece, written by advertising connoisseur Barbara Lippert, who wrote that piece on Mad Men.
Well, it is a joy, and thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for giving us a surprise 4 times a year with this magazine, and thank you for bringing history to us in a really wonderful way.
Well, I thank you equally for giving me this opportunity to show it.
You betcha,
Thank you.
anytime. Thanks for coming on.